On one silent morning, deep inside a royal tomb sealed for 3,000 years, a team of archaeologists found something no one expected, something that should not have survived, and something that changed the entire story of ancient Egypt forever. A single gloved hand wiped dust from the stone wall. A beam of light caught the carving, and the team froze. It was not gold, not jewels, not a mummy. It was a message, a warning, carved by a trembling hand. The day the gods went silent. And right below the message, scratched in tiny symbols, was a name that did not belong in this tomb, a name from a different dynasty, a different century, a different ruler, a name that should never have been here. The lead archaeologist stepped back, breath shaking, and whispered, "This changes everything." Then darkness. The lights inside the chamber flickered, and the world was left with one question. What happened in ancient Egypt that someone risked their life to hide? Back to the beginning. To understand that carving, to understand why someone in the ancient world left a desperate message for the future, we have to go all the way back. Back before the pyramids, before the pharaohs, before Egypt even had a name. Back to a river, the river that made a kingdom. Imagine a land where the sun never stops burning, where sand stretches farther than the eye can see, where life should be impossible. But then, a ribbon of water cuts through the desert like a miracle. The Nile. Every year it rose, every year it flooded, and every year it left behind black soil so rich you could drop a seed and watch it grow. The people who lived along the Nile did not just survive, they thrived. Villages grew, trade began, ideas spread, and slowly, families became tribes. Tribes became kingdoms. Kingdoms became rivals. And then, a young, powerful leader rose from the south. His name was Narmer. Some say he united Egypt by diplomacy. Others say he did it by force. Either way, around 3100 BCE, the two lands, Upper and Lower Egypt, were joined. One crown, one ruler, one nation. But uniting Egypt was only chapter 1. What came next was unlike anything the world had ever seen. The birth of the Pharaohs. In Egypt, kings were not just rulers. They were living symbols, chosen by the gods, protectors of order, bringers of stability. Every decision they made shaped the future. Every mistake they made could destroy it. But the new kingdom needed something more powerful than any army or law. It needed a story, a dream, a vision that would echo through time. And one ruler had the answer. The first great monument. Djoser, a king who wanted to be remembered forever. He turned to his architect, Imhotep, a genius, a thinker, a man whose ideas were centuries ahead of his time. Imhotep looked at a simple flat tomb, a mastaba, and said, "What if we build up?" Layer by layer, stone upon stone, the world's first pyramid rose. The step pyramid at Saqqara. When the people saw it, they gasped. Nothing like it had ever existed. It was taller than any building on earth. A staircase to eternity. Egypt had unlocked a new kind of power. Architecture that could outlive empires. But success brings ambition. And ambition brings danger. Because the next kings wanted pyramids too. Bigger ones. Stronger ones. Perfect ones. And one king, Sneferu, pushed Egypt to the edge. Sneferu's obsession. Sneferu was not a cruel ruler. He was a dreamer. He wanted beauty. He wanted perfection. He wanted a legacy no one could erase. His first pyramid collapsed. His second one cracked. His third had to be built with a strange bent angle just to stop it from falling apart. Each failure cost time, money, and thousands of lives. But Sneferu did not stop. On his fourth attempt, something changed. Egypt found its rhythm. Mathematics, engineering, stonework, organization. And a red pyramid, Egypt's first true, smooth-sided pyramid, was born. But while the nation celebrated, workers whispered a darker truth. We do not have enough. Too many die. The king asks too much. Sneferu's dream nearly broke Egypt. And then came his son, a man who would take the world's breath away. The age of the impossible. Khufu, a name spoken with awe and fear. He wanted to outshine his father, to outshine everyone. So he began a project that seemed impossible. The Great Pyramid of Giza. Imagine standing on hot desert sand. Imagine hearing the crash of stone. Imagine seeing tens of thousands of workers pushing blocks as heavy as cars. No wheels, no iron tools, just muscle, rope, and brilliant planning. Even today, scientists still argue. How did they do it? Ramps? Levers? Hidden techniques lost to time? The Great Pyramid rose higher and higher, a mountain of perfect geometry, a line to true north, built with such precision it still confuses modern technology. It stood as the tallest human-made structure for 4,000 years. But behind all this glory, something else was happening. A shift, a whisper, a fear. Egypt was becoming a place of unthinkable power and unbearable pressure. Workers disappeared. Officials lied to protect themselves. Priests gained influence. Families fought for favor. For the first time, cracks appeared not in the pyramids, but in the kingdom, the silent rooms. Inside the Great Pyramid are chambers and passages no one fully understands. One is called the King's Chamber, another, the Queen's Chamber. One is unfinished. Tools still lie on the ground, as if the workers were told to stop instantly. Why? Why leave something unfinished in the greatest monument ever built? Why walk away without warning? Some Egyptologists say there was simply no time. Others say the king died suddenly. But some archaeologists point to the strange carvings found in other pyramids. Symbols of fear, not glory. One inscription reads, "We built in darkness." Another, "We heard the earth cry." None of these are supernatural. They may point to real events, earthquakes, collapses, political tension. But then there is one more carving found deep beneath Giza. The day the gods went silent. The same message the archaeologists discovered in the hidden tomb. A message from someone who saw something. Something the rulers wanted the world to forget. A kingdom at its peak and ready to fall. Egypt grew richer. More pyramids rose. More statues stood tall. Art flourished. Medicine advanced. Writing spread across temples and tombs. But success comes with danger. Officials became greedy. Priests expanded their power. Kings fought each other for control. People feared the spirits of the dead more than the laws of the living. Behind the shining stone, something dark was growing. And then things changed forever. A new dynasty rose. A new capital. A new world. But buried beneath all the splendor, beneath the temples, the tombs, the golden masks, was a truth the rulers hoped no one would ever find. The same truth that archaeologists uncovered in that sealed tomb. The truth that ties every dynasty together, from the first kings to the last. A truth carved in shaking hands on stone walls. The last night in the hidden tomb. We return now to the moment our chapter began. The team of archaeologists stood before the ancient warning. Dust swirled. Lights flickered. The air felt heavy, as if the chamber itself were holding its breath. The lead archaeologist kneeled and gently brushed away more sand. Another line of symbols appeared, deeper, more rushed, more desperate. It read, "Do not trust the king." A second carving beneath it, "Do not trust the priest." And then, so faint it could barely be seen, one final message. This is where it began. The team stared in absolute silence. The chamber had no royal decorations, no treasures, no body, just warnings. Warnings written in the last moments of someone's life. But who? A worker? A scribe? A priest who turned against his own order? The lead archaeologist reached out to take a closer photo, and her hand froze, because behind the dust, behind all the warnings, was the faint outline of something else. A symbol, a royal symbol, a king symbol, from a dynasty no one ever expected to find here. A dynasty whose rulers were known for fear, secrecy, and sudden disappearances. The symbol of a pharaoh whose reign ended in chaos, and whose body was never found. A forgotten king, connected to the very beginning of Egypt itself. The archaeologist swallowed hard. Her flashlight trembled, because she realized they were not just looking at a message. They were standing in the first chamber of a long-hidden story, one that stretched across centuries of Egyptian history, and one that someone long ago had tried desperately to bury. A sudden gust of air swept through the chamber. Sand shifted on the floor, and for a brief second the lights went out. Darkness. When they flicked back on, something new appeared in the beam. A doorway, a narrow crack in the wall that had not been visible before. Behind it, something glimmered, not gold, something darker, older, more dangerous. The lead archaeologist whispered, This wasn't supposed to be here. She stepped forward, and the ground beneath her gave a low, hollow sound. A hidden chamber, a hidden space, a buried truth waiting to be uncovered. The team looked at each other. No one spoke. No one breathed. Because whatever was behind that wall could rewrite the entire history of ancient Egypt, to be continued